Imagine it's like 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, the classic designer all-nighter.
Right. And your major client presentation is in exactly, 6 hours.
Sounds stressful already.
It is. You're sitting there in the glow of your monitor, and your app layout is, well, frankly, it's gorgeous.
You've got the padding perfect?
Exactly. The padding is perfect. The drop shadows are totally dialed in. The typography hierarchy is just singing.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there, eyes practically bleeding, manually clicking into, 45 different text boxes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, typing john.doe@email.com, then clicking the next one and typing jane.smith@email.com, just over and over and over again.
And manually resizing tiny little bar charts so they don't all look identical?
Yes, it is completely mind-numbing, soul-crushing work.
Totally.
And today, we are going to show you how to completely obliterate that workflow forever.
Because honestly, it's the ultimate trap for anyone stepping into this industry.
Yeah.
You spend all these years, mastering the pen tool, understanding color theory, and learning how to make a beautiful static picture.
Right.
But an interface is not a picture.
No, it's not.
It's a container for reality. And reality is incredibly messy, it's unpredictable, and it's entirely driven by data.
Which is exactly why we are dedicating this custom deep dive to you.
Yeah, you, the ambitious designer just starting out in your career.
You want to make the leap from creating idealized, pretty mock-ups to designing functional, robust systems that actually survive contact with the real world.
The messy real world.
Exactly. And to help you do that, we are pulling from a phenomenal source today.
Such a good one.
We are exploring the core concepts from the chapter titled Working with Data, straight out of the book Designing in Figma, a masterclass in modern interface design.
It's basically a foundational text at this point.
Really is.
And the big idea we're going to unpack today, the concept that changed your entire trajectory as a designer, is realizing that Figma is not just a digital piece of paper.
Right, it's not MS Paint.
No, it's a powerful software engine backed by a super robust API.
Yeah.
And once you stop treating it like a drawing canvas and start treating it like a data ingestion tool,
Yeah.
your entire process transforms.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I know that when you're a junior designer, hearing terms like data ingestion or API,
It sounds like developer speak.
yeah, it makes you want to immediately close the file and go back to picking hex codes.
Oh, for sure.
But we are going to start at the absolute ground floor today.
Nice and easy.
Before we even look at external databases, we have to talk about the baseline of realism.
Right.
We have to talk about banishing the most persistent ghost in all of graphic design.
Let me guess. Lorem Ipsum.
Exactly, Lorem.
Lorem Ipsum dolor sit amet, the classic Latin filler text.
We all know it.
It has been the crutch of the design world since the days of physical typesetting, honestly.
Yeah, but in digital product design, using Lorem Ipsum is, well, it's basically lying to yourself.
It completely gives you a false sense of security about your layout.
Because it's too perfectly uniform, right?
Exactly.
And to combat this, the source material introduces us to this really cool community plugin called Content Reel.
Built by Microsoft, actually.
Yeah. Now, Content Reel is essentially this massive, highly organized library of text strings and images.
Right.
We are talking names, phone numbers, currency formats, physical addresses, and just thousands of diverse avatar photos.
And the architecture of the plugin is really what makes it so powerful.
How so?
Well, it's not just a random word generator. Content Reel is built around this concept of string arrays. It accesses specific lists of categorized data. The source notes that it includes the standard Microsoft Icons Fabric MDL2 library.
Wow.
Yeah, which has over 2,000 icons alone.
That's massive.
It is. But the real leverage, comes from the fact that you aren't locked into their default data at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can define and save your own custom libraries.
I love that. I like to think of this like a Hollywood prop department.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah, if you are directing a movie set in an office, you don't ask your carpenters to manually build every single stapler, file folder, and coffee mug from raw materials, right?
Yeah, that would be an absurd waste of the budget.
Exactly. You call the prop department, and they just pull highly realistic pre-made items off a shelf to dress the set and make it believable.
Yeah.
Content Reel is your interface prop department.
That is a really solid way to visualize it. You are basically dressing the set of your UI.
Exactly.
But let's look at the mechanics of how this actually functions on the canvas.
So do it.
The author of our source text provides this fantastic, super practical example, which is designing a job board.
Okay, let's break that down. Say I'm building this job board.
Right.
I create my master component. It's a nice, clean rectangle.
Yep.
I put a placeholder logo on the left, maybe a bold text layer in the middle for the job title, and a subtext layer for the city.
Sounds like a standard card.
Right. Now, if I have a list of 50 jobs, does Content Reel force me to select each one and apply a title one by one?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Because if so, I'm really not sure that's much faster than typing it myself.
And that is exactly the trap beginners fall into.
They think it's manual.
Right, assuming plugins are just macro shortcuts for manual actions. But no, the workflow is entirely different.
Okay, what is it?
So you duplicate that master component 50 times to create your long vertical list.
Got my list.
Then you open Content Reel and create a custom group of text strings. Let's say you name the group Tech Jobs.
Okay.
Inside that group, you input an array of realistic titles. So like senior product designer, UX architect, junior front-end developer, data scientist.
Okay, so I have my array of titles saved in the plugin.
Right. Now, you drag select all 50 of those bold text layers across your entire Figma canvas simultaneously.
Oh, all at once.
All at once. You go to your Tech Jobs array in Content Reel, and you hit Apply All.
Boom.
Exactly. The plugin runs a script that iterates through your selection and sequentially injects a different string from your array into each text layer as an override.
That's amazing.
In a fraction of a second, your 50 identical dummy cards become 50 unique, realistic job postings.
So what stands out to you listening to this right now? Think about the friction in your daily work.
All that wasted time.
Right. When you were designing a dashboard, how much time do you spend just trying to think of a fake company name that sounds even slightly believable?
Too much time.
Content Reel completely eliminates that cognitive load.
It does, but we really need to dig deeper into the why here.
Okay.
Speed is the obvious benefit, right? But the true value of Content Reel is that it acts as an automated stress test for your design constraints.
A stress test.
Yeah. This is where junior designers constantly stumble. When you manually type data, you subconsciously protect your own design.
Oh, yeah.
You type short, perfectly balanced names, Bob Smith, UI designer, and your layout looks completely flawless.
Because you don't want to break your own pretty picture.
Precisely.
Yep.
But the real world has zero respect for your padding.
Ain't at all.
What happens to your beautifully balanced job card when the Content Reel plugin randomly injects the title, say, Senior Vice President of International User Experience and Interface Architecture?
Oh, wow. The layout completely shatters.
Exactly.
The text wraps to 4 lines. It pushes the date off the bottom of the card. It overlaps the company logo.
Yeah.
And the entire grid just collapses.
And that is actually a good thing.
Really?
Yes. You want that failure to happen on your canvas at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, not in the live code base 3 months later.
That makes a lot of sense.
Injecting unpredictable, varied lengths of realistic text forces you to set up your Figma auto layout rules correctly.
Right?
It forces you to define maximum widths, text truncation rules, when the text turns into the 3 little dots, and responsive resizing behaviors.
So you aren't just making it look realistic, you are exposing the structural weaknesses of your system.
Exactly.
Okay, so Content Reel basically solves the static data problem. It stress tests our components.
Yeah.
But let's push this further.
Let's do it.
Content Reel is still just a library you pull from, right?
Yeah.
What happens when the data isn't static?
Oh, the dynamic stuff.
Yeah. What if I'm designing a massive e-commerce site and the prices, the inventory status, the product names, they all change daily based on stakeholder decisions?
Right. Constantly shifting.
You can't be manually rerunning Content Reel every single morning just to keep up.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Which brings us to a massive paradigm shift in how you structure your files.
Okay.
Decoupling design from data.
Decoupling.
We are moving from injecting static strings to establishing a live, synchronized connection with an external database.
And the tool the book highlights for this is an unofficial community plugin called Google Sheets Sync.
Yeah, built by a developer named Dave Williams.
The premise of this is wild. You take all the data out of Figma, put it into a standard Google spreadsheet, use a specific naming convention on your Figma layers, and then you just hit a sync button.
That's it.
And the plugin reaches out to the internet, reads the spreadsheet, and populates your entire design file.
It is a brilliantly engineered bridge between 2 completely different software environments.
I'm gonna push back on this though. Let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
If I am the UI designer, my entire world is the Figma Layers panel.
Right.
Why on earth would I want to intentionally fracture my workflow?
How do you mean?
Taking my text out of my design app and putting it into a spreadsheet, it feels like I'm just shifting the mess around.
Okay, I hear that.
Now, instead of a messy Figma file, I have a messy Google Sheet floating around that, like a copywriter could accidentally delete. Doesn't that just introduce unnecessary risk?
That is the exact hesitation every single designer has before they understand the concept of the single source of truth.
Single source of truth.
Yes. To understand why decoupling is vital, you have to look at the reality of multi-platform product development.
Okay.
You are never designing just one screen.
True.
Let's imagine you are designing an app like Airbnb. You have a desktop grid view of a property.
Yeah.
You have a mobile-less view of that same property. You have a checkout screen view, a map pin view, and maybe even an Apple Watch notification view.
So I have the exact same data. Let's say a listing for sunny Soho Loft for $250 a night, represented visually in 5 completely different structural contexts across my canvas.
Yes, exactly. Now imagine your product manager pings you on Slack.
Always the PM.
Always. Hey, the host just lowered the price to $215, and legal says we have to add the word verified to the title.
Oh, man.
If your data is hard-coded into Figma text layers, what is your workflow?
I have to embark on a manual hunt.
Yep.
I zoom into the desktop mockup, double-click the text layer, change it, pan over to the mobile mockup, double-click, change it, find the checkout flow, change it. And I basically just pray I don't miss one.
And if you do miss one, your presentation tomorrow features conflicting prices on different screens.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
It is. The stakeholders stop looking at your brilliant user experience flow and spend 20 minutes arguing over which price is correct.
Ugh, I've been in that meeting.
It completely undermines your authority as a system designer.
Okay, I see the pain point. So how does Google Sheets Sync actually solve the governance of this data?
It solves it through architectural separation.
Okay.
Your Google Sheet becomes the definitive master database. You create a column header called property title and another called price.
Right.
In Figma, you rename your text layer to match, but you add a specific prefix.
A prefix.
Yeah, the plugin looks for a hashtag. So you name the layer hashtag property title.
Ah, so the hashtag is essentially a variable declaration.
Exactly.
It tells the plugin, hey, don't treat this layer name as just a label, treat it as a hook to go fetch data.
Precisely. Under the hood,
Yeah.
when you run the plugin, it uses a background script to ping the Google Sheets API.
Cool.
It requests the data from your specific sheet URL in a format called JSON JavaScript Object Notation. It parses that JSON data, looks at your Figma layer tree, finds every layer starting with a hashtag, matches the string to the column header, and just injects the value.
That's super seamless. And what about images? Like, can I sync a spreadsheet to a Figma shape?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
And the syntax is just slightly different.
Okay, what is it?
If you have a column in your sheet with URLs pointing to photographs, you name your Figma shape layer with an @ symbol.
So like at property photo.
Exactly. The plugin reads the URL, downloads the image into memory, and applies it as an image filled directly to your vector shape.
Okay, so if that Slack message comes in saying the price changed to $215, what actually happens now?
You don't even open Figma.
Really?
Or, more importantly, the product manager doesn't ask you to do it at all.
Oh, that's the dream.
Right. The product manager opens the Google Sheet, which is an environment they are completely comfortable in, and changes the cell. The next time you open your Figma file, you run the sync. The plugin fetches the new JSON payload, and instantly the desktop view, the mobile view, the checkout view, and the watch view all update to $215 simultaneously.
That is real governance right there.
It is.
When you decouple data from design, you aren't just saving yourself an hour of typing. You are actively preventing political wars within your product team over who owns the source of truth.
Exactly.
You are building a bridge that allows copywriters, legal teams, and product managers to inject their expertise into your mockups without ever having to learn how to navigate a nested auto layout frame.
It is diplomacy through tooling. It literally elevates you from a pixel pusher to a workflow architect.
All right, so we've solved text strings, we've solved live tabular array data.
Yep.
But there's a massive blind spot here. Words and prices are easy enough to sync. What happens when the data isn't typography?
Oh, right.
What happens when the data is geometry?
Ah, data visualization. The historical nightmare of every UI designer.
Seriously. If I'm tasked with designing an analytics dashboard, how do I sync a scatter plot with 500 dynamic data points?
You don't want to do that by hand.
No, I can't use Google Sheets Sync to draw little circles.
Right.
This brings us to visualizing complexity. The book introduces us to a wildly powerful plugin called Simply Chart, developed by Pavel Kuligin.
Before we dissect the mechanics of this, we must emphasize a critical clarification from the source text.
Oh, yeah, this is important.
The Figma community is vast, right? And naming conventions can definitely overlap. You are looking for the plugin named Chart Singular.
Singular.
Do not install the plugin named Charts Plural. According to the author, the plural version is highly limited. It only supports random data and generates just a handful of basic styles.
Chart Singular. Got it. And this singular tool is an absolute powerhouse. The variety is staggering.
Oh, yeah.
The book lists 16 different types of complex charts. We aren't just talking about your standard elementary school pie charts here.
Far from it.
It generates spark lines, stream graphs, financial candlesticks, stacked area graphs, progress bars, and complex scatter plots.
But honestly, the visual variety isn't even the real breakthrough here.
No.
The breakthrough is the mathematical ingestion.
Right.
How does it get the data? You can copy-paste tabular data. You can link it directly to a live Google Sheet. You can upload a raw CSV file from a data scientist, or you can even link a raw JSON file.
Let's break down the underlying logic here, because I think a lot of beginners don't actually understand how a plugin draws a chart.
Yeah, the black box of it all.
Let's look at the old way versus the new way.
Okay.
If I am a junior designer in a legacy tool like, say, Illustrator, and the client gives me a CSV file with 2 columns, let's say website traffic and time of day, how am I building that line chart?
Oh, the old way is a masterclass in manual approximation.
Basically guessing.
Yeah. You draw a horizontal x-axis line and a vertical y-axis line. You look at your data. Okay, at 9 a.m., traffic was 450 users. So you take the pen tool, you hover roughly over where you think 9 a.m. is on the horizontal line. You move your mouse up to roughly where you think 450 is on the vertical line, and you click to place a vector point.
Which is, yeah, basically just guessing.
It is entirely guessing. Then you look at the next row, 10 a.m., 800 users. You move your mouse a little to the right, a lot higher up, and click again. Then you connect the dots.
That is agonizing. And if you have 300 data points, it's virtually impossible.
It really is.
Not to mention it is ethically dubious.
That's a great point.
If you are designing a dashboard meant to show a client their literal financial trajectory, and your data points are just manually dragged somewhere near the top right, you aren't designing an interface.
Yeah.
You are drawing a cartoon of an interface.
Exactly. And this is where understanding the mechanism of the chart plugin is so important.
Okay.
When you feed a CSV file into chart, it doesn't guess.
No guess.
It parses the comma-separated values. It mathematically analyzes the entire array of numbers to find the absolute minimum and maximum values, what we call the data domain.
Right, it establishes the boundaries of the chart.
Yes. Then, it looks at the bounding box you drew in. Figma say, a rectangle that is exactly 800 pixels wide and 400 pixels high.
Okay.
The plugin's algorithm runs a coordinate mapping function. It calculates the exact pixel ratio for every single data point and automatically generates flawless, mathematically precise, SVG scalable vector graphics paths.
Wow.
A data point representing 450 users doesn't go roughly in the middle. It is plotted at the exact microscopic pixel coordinate that represents 450 within that specific 400 pixel height.
It takes the math entirely out of the designer's hands.
Completely.
It's instant and it's perfect. Now, the source material is transparent about a caveat here, right?
Yes, the pricing.
While this plugin is a colossal time saver, unlocking the advanced features like syncing to live external APIs or using the most complex graph types requires a pro account, which costs money.
And look, when you are just starting out, every single subscription fee feels incredibly painful.
It really does.
But this is a lesson in evaluating return on investment, or ROI. You have to calculate the cost of your own labor.
Right.
If building a mathematically accurate 50-point scatter plot by hand takes you 3 hours of tedious, eye-straining work, and a $20 plugin can do it flawlessly in 4 seconds.
It pays for itself instantly.
That plugin pays for itself the very first time you click the button.
It elevates your deliverable from a picture of a chart to authentic data visualization.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
Okay,
Let's take a breath and shift gears.
let's do it.
Up until now, we have been talking about pushing data into a brand new design, but let's look at a nightmare scenario that every professional designer faces eventually.
Oh, I know where this is going.
You get hired by a mid-sized company. On your first day, your manager says, "We need you to completely overhaul the user dashboard on our live web application."
Okay.
You say, "Great, I'm ready. Can you send me the Figma source files?"
Right.
And the manager looks at you with a blank stare and says, oh, the original agency who built this 4 years ago went out of business. Or maybe it was built in Sketch and the hard drive crashed. Anyway, we don't have any design files, just the live website. Good luck.
The dreaded missing source file. It gives me chills.
It's the worst.
It is rarely a pristine, greenfield project in the corporate world. You are so often performing digital archaeology on legacy systems.
So you were sitting there staring at a live URL. You have 0 vector files. What is the standard beginner workflow here?
The painful one.
Do you take a giant screenshot of the website, lock it on a background layer in Figma, and spend the next 4 days literally tracing every single button, text box, and dividing line with the rectangle tool just to establish a baseline mockup?
Unfortunately, yes. Many juniors do exactly that.
That's so tedious.
They act as human tracing machines because they just don't know the alternative.
Yeah.
But the source text reveals a vastly superior workflow.
Okay, what is it?
It introduces a plugin called HTML to Figma.
Now, this sounds like actual science fiction to a beginner.
I know, right?
You are telling me a plugin can reverse engineer a live coded, compiled website back into editable vector layers. How is that even technically possible?
Okay, to understand how it works, you have to understand the DOM, the Document Object Model.
The DOM.
Yes. When you look at a website in Chrome or Safari, you aren't looking at a picture.
Yeah.
You are looking at a highly structured tree of code elements. Div tags, p tags, image tags.
Okay.
The browser reads that tree, applies CSS styling rules, and renders it visually.
Okay, so a website is fundamentally a list of instructions.
Yes. And Figma's architecture, what we call its scene graph, is remarkably similar to the DOM.
Really?
Yeah. Figma Frame is very much like an HTML div. A Figma text node is like a p tag.
Okay, that tracks.
The HTML to Figma plugin acts as a translator. You feed it a URL. The plugin essentially sends a headless browser to that URL, reads the live DOM structure, reads all the computed CSS styles, so the exact hex colors, the font sizes, the border radiuses, and systematically attempts to map those code instructions back into Figma layer equivalents.
That is brilliant. But let's manage expectations, because the author shares a very specific cautionary anecdote here.
Yeah, they do.
They note that the first time they ran this plugin on a site, the result was only about 80% correct.
That 80% figure is the most important takeaway in this entire section.
Why is that?
If you expect perfection, you will think the tool is broken.
Why does it fail, though? If Figma is so similar to the DOM, why isn't it a one-to-one perfect translation?
Because the web is infinitely more flexible and therefore messier than a vector canvas.
Ah, okay.
Think about CSS Flexbox or CSS Grid. These are complex dynamic layout engines that dictate how elements stretch, shrink, and wrap based on the exact width the user's monitor. Figma has auto layout, which is excellent, but it is not a complete one-to-one match for all the intricacies of CSS.
That makes sense.
Furthermore, web developers often use absolute positioning, forcing an element to sit exactly 10 pixels from the top of the screen, regardless of what else is around it. Translating those dynamic browser rules back into static vector coordinates often breaks.
I think of it like running a beautiful poem through Google Translate.
Oh, I like that.
If you translate a French poem into English, you get the vocabulary, you get the raw words, the subject matter, the basic colors of the text.
Yeah.
But you lose the rhythm, the subtle rhyming structure, the idiomatic flow that all gets lost in translation.
Exactly.
The HTML to Figma plugin gets you the vocabulary. It pulls in the exact font files, the hex codes, the image assets, and the raw text copy. But the layout rhythm might be completely scrambled.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And this raises an incredibly important question about workflow efficiency and really the psychology of the designer. Beginners suffer from blank canvas syndrome. There is a misplaced pride in building everything from absolute scratch.
Like it's not real work if they don't draw it.
Right. But the industry values speed and iteration over artisanal tracing.
The text explicitly states this, actually. It's not perfect, but it's easier to clean up an auto-converted mockup than to recreate every asset and element manually.
Exactly. The vital skill you must develop is not the ability to draw a flawless rectangle.
No.
The industry-level skill is the ability to run that plugin, look at the messy, 80% accurate file it spits out, rapidly identify where the constraints failed, reconnect the broken auto layouts, relink the rogue text layers to your local typography styles, and fix the padding.
Just triage the file.
Yes. You take a grueling 3-day tracing exercise and compress it into a surgical 2-hour cleanup job.
Which frees up the rest of your week to actually do the job you were hired for, which is designing the new features for the dashboard, rather than acting as a historian for the old ones.
Perfectly said.
All right. We are covering immense ground here.
A lot of ground.
We have used community tools to inject text, sync spreadsheets, draw complex geometry, and reverse engineer live websites.
Check, check, check.
But what happens when you hit the ultimate wall? What happens when your company has a highly specific, totally unique workflow bottleneck, and you search the Figma community page, and the plugin you need simply doesn't exist?
This is the threshold between a senior designer and an absolute powerhouse.
I'm ready.
We transitioned from Section 4 into Section 5, tailoring the workspace with custom plugins.
Custom plugins.
You stop consuming tools and you start creating them.
The source makes a profound assertion here. It states that building a Figma plugin is actually relatively easy if you possess basic web development knowledge.
It really is.
We are talking standard HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript.
And this accessibility completely changes how massive corporations operate.
Yeah, so?
Giants like Microsoft or Uber, they do not wait for the open source community to solve their specific infrastructural problems.
They just build it themselves.
Exactly. They employ teams to build highly customized, proprietary internal plugins.
Okay.
These plugins never see the light of day on the public community page. They are distributed internally via private zip archives or hosted on internal Git repositories.
The book provides 2 stellar examples of this internal tooling, and they really illustrate the scale of what's possible.
Let's hear them.
Let's look at the first one, Microsoft. The author points to the work of Jackie Chewy, a UX designer at Microsoft, who built an internal utility called the Fluent Theme Switcher.
Right. To understand why this tool is necessary, you really have to comprehend the sheer scale of Microsoft's software ecosystem.
It's massive.
Think about the Office suite: Word, Excel, Teams, PowerPoint, OneNote. They all share a unified underlying design language, which Microsoft calls the Fluent Design System.
Right.
The typography scales are the same, the button radiuses are the same, the icon styles are the same.
But the visual branding is completely different, right? Word is defined by that specific signature blue. Excel is famously green. PowerPoint is orange. Teams is purple.
Exactly. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a Microsoft designer.
Okay.
You were tasked with designing a complex, new account settings modal that will be rolled out across the entire suite.
Right.
You spend days building the component in Figma, utilizing the blue color tokens for Microsoft Word. It looks perfect.
But now I have to provide mockups for all the other teams.
Right.
If I'm doing this manually, I duplicate that massive modal. I click into the header, change the hex code from blue to green. I click into the primary button, change the hover state from dark blue to dark green. I click the text links, the active tab underlines.
It's awful.
It is a nightmare of repetitive clicking. And then I have to do it all again for orange and purple.
It is so prone to human error and incredibly tedious. But with Jackie Chewy's Fluent Theme Switcher, the workflow is revolutionized.
How does it work?
The plugin understands the semantic architecture of the design tokens. The designer builds the modal once in blue.
Okay.
They select the entire frame, open the internal plugin, and simply click a button that says Excel.
And the plugin does the heavy lifting.
Instantly. The JavaScript scans every single layer within the selection. It identifies any layer using a word blue token and algorithmically swaps it for the exact corresponding Excel green token.
That's amazing.
The borders, the fills, the text colors, everything transitions in a millisecond. Click PowerPoint and it instantly maps to orange.
That is a workflow superpower. It guarantees absolute brand consistency across thousands of employees while eliminating hours of mundane labor.
Huge efficiency gain.
And the second example the source provides is equally fascinating. It highlights the work of Brian Lovin at GitHub.
Yes. While working on the GitHub mobile applications, Brian didn't just focus on one monolithic plugin.
What did he do?
He built an ecosystem of about 10 small, highly focused utility plugins just to grease the wheels of their specific product design workflow.
What kind of utilities are we talking about?
The text mentions color helpers, a dark mode switcher, which operates on a similar token swapping logic to the Microsoft example, instantly toggling a mockup between light and dark UI environments. Well, that's handy.
And most crucially, a plugin that populates data directly from the GitHub API.
Let's pause and dissect that last one because it perfectly connects our earlier conversation.
It ties it all together.
We talked about using Content Reel for generic dummy data and Google Sheets for tabular data, But Brian built a bridge directly into the actual product's brain.
Exactly. GitHub is fundamentally a massive database of code repositories, issues, and pull requests.
Right.
Instead of a designer guessing what an issue looks like or manually typing out a bug report title, they use Brian's plugin.
So the designer could theoretically drop in a specific GitHub issue ID like #4052, and the plugin talks to the live GitHub server, grabs a real issue title, the real timestamp, the actual avatar of the user who submitted it, and injects all of that hyper-realistic live production data right into the Figma mockup.
It is custom-tailored realism that requires absolutely zero manual data entry.
That's incredible. And the industry context the author provides here is vital. Brian Lovin didn't just build these in secret. He presented these tools in a lightning talk at Config 2020.
Config being Figma's massive annual user conference.
Correct. And he was presenting alongside engineering and design teams from Uber and Atlassian, who were also showcasing their bespoke internal tooling.
Wow.
The overarching takeaway is clear. The most advanced tech companies in the world do not view design software as a static environment. They view it as a platform to be engineered and customized.
And I think there is a massively empowering lesson here for you, the listener.
Absolutely.
When you open a piece of software, your default human instinct is to view it as a rigid box. You think, these are the tools the developers at Figma gave me, and I must bend my workflow to accommodate their interface.
We all start out thinking that way.
Right, but learning about custom plugins shatters that box. It teaches you that if a workflow is boring, if it is repetitive, or if it is highly prone to human error, you do not have to suffer through it.
You really don't.
You, or a developer you collaborate with, can literally write a script, build a custom button, and rewrite the software to work the way you need it to work. You transition from being a renter of your workspace to an owner.
It's a profound shift in mindset. And that concept of breaking out of the box brings us perfectly and inevitably to the final, most advanced concept in our deep dive today.
The big finale.
We have spent an hour talking about pulling data into Figma. We have talked about customizing the Figma UI. But what if we invert the entire premise?
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, it does.
What if we take Figma completely out of the design silo? What if Figma isn't the end destination for a mockup, but the literal engine driving a live production website?
We are talking about leveraging the Figma REST API.
Okay, stop right there. Time out.
Oh boy.
If you are a junior designer listening to this and I just said REST API, your eyes probably glazed over and you might be reaching for the pause button.
Don't do it.
Do not close this. I promise you, you do not need to know how to write the code for this today.
Not at all.
But you absolutely fundamentally need to understand the architecture of how this works so you can sit in a meeting with your lead engineers tomorrow and actually speak their language.
Well said. Let's demystify the acronym.
Please.
API stands for Application Programming Interface. In the simplest terms possible, an API is a doorway that allows two different pieces of software to talk to each other and exchange data automatically without a human ever clicking a mouse.
So the Figma API is a backdoor into your design files.
Precisely. The source material outlines how developers can use this API to read the internal code of a Figma file, extract data, and even extract rendered images, effectively turning Figma into a visual CMS.
A content management system, like WordPress, but entirely visual.
Exactly.
This is the ultimate workflow hack, and the examples the book provides are truly mind-bending. Let's thoroughly break down the first example. The housing project web app.
This case study comes from a Twitter thread by a developer named Michael McMillan, who works at an agency called BuskBite.no. Their team was tasked with building an interactive web application for real estate. The goal was to allow potential buyers to explore new housing projects.
Let's visualize the user interface. A user goes to the website and they see a beautiful top-down architectural floor plan of an apartment building. When the user hovers their mouse over a specific apartment, say Unit 2B, that apartment highlights, and a little tooltip pops up showing the price, the square meterage, and whether it's sold or available.
Conceptually simple, right? But technically complex.
Why?
To make that hover interaction work in the browser, the web application needs a mathematically precise vector outline, an SVG path of every single apartment on that floor plan.
Oh, to know where the mouse is.
Exactly. The browser needs to know the exact coordinates of where Unit 2B begins and ends, so it knows when the user's mouse crosses the threshold.
So how were they doing it initially? What was the baseline workflow and the bottleneck?
The initial setup was painfully manual.
Always is.
A designer would open the architectural plan in Figma. They would take the pen tool and carefully draw a vector shape outlining Unit 1. Then they would right-click, hit Export, and save it to their desktop as an SVG file.
Wow.
Then they would draw Unit 2, export, Unit 3, export.
For an entire apartment complex, that's hours of tracing.
It gets worse. The initial drawing is just the first hurdle. The real nightmare is maintenance.
Oh, true.
What happens when the architect revises the blueprints and moves an interior wall by 2 feet? Designer has to open Figma, adjust the vector points, re-export the SVG file, and manually hand it off to the developer.
And the developer isn't just dragging and dropping it, right? The developer has to take that new SVG file, commit it to their Git repository, run a build process, and completely redeploy the entire live web application to the servers just to update one single wall on a map.
It is a massive friction point. The lag time between a design change and a live update could be days. So Macmillan's team looked for an API solution.
How did they fix it?
They bypassed the manual export entirely. They wrote a script in their web application that constantly listens to the Figma REST API.
Okay.
Now, the designer still draws the vector outline in Figma, but the moment they finish connecting the dots, they stop. They don't click export. They don't message the developer.
Because the web app is already watching the file.
Exactly. The web app uses the API to reach into the Figma file, grab the raw coordinate data of that new vector shape, and pull it directly into the live website in real time.
That is incredibly fast.
As Macmillan stated, this eliminated the need to manually export shapes, eliminated the Git commits, and eliminated the server redeployments. He described it as a literal 10x time saver.
But wait, because they didn't stop there?
No, they didn't.
That alone is a brilliant automation. But this is where they take it from a clever script to an absolute paradigm-shifting hack.
The real genius move.
They asked a massive what-if question. If the web app is already reading the visual shapes from Figma, what if we use Figma to control the text data too? The pricing, the sold status, the area.
They realized they could completely eliminate a traditional database and turn the design file into the back-end server.
But I'm looking at Figma right now. There is no spreadsheet built into Figma.
Right.
There is no database table for data entry. How do you attach structured data like a price to a vector shape without just typing it as a visible text layer that messes up the design?
This is the stroke of absolute genius. They leveraged Figma's native comment feature.
Wait, the comment tool, the little speech bubble icon you use to tell your coworker, hey, make this logo bigger.
Yes. They repurposed the comment system as a metadata injector.
How?
Let's walk through the workflow. The designer draws the vector box around Unit 2B.
Okay.
Then they select the comment tool and drop a pin directly onto that specific shape. But instead of leaving feedback, they type structured JSON data into the comment box.
Oh, wow.
They type price, $500,000. Status, available area, 75 square meters.
And they hit post.
And because the web app is reading the entire file via the API, the web app script reads the coordinates of that shape, and then it queries the API for any comments attached to those specific coordinates. It extracts the text from the comment pin, parses the price and status, and feeds it directly into the website's HTML.
That is absolutely wild. Why is that such a constraint-breaking hack for a product team?
Because it completely, 100%, removes developer overhead for content management.
Right.
Imagine a real estate agent calls on a Saturday and says, Unit 2B just sold. We need the website updated immediately.
Okay.
In a traditional setup, you have to find a developer online, have them log into the database, change the Boolean value from true to false, and push an update.
Yeah, it takes a while.
With this Figma CMS hack, the designer, or even the project manager, just opens the Figma URL in their browser. They click the comment pin on Unit 2B, edit the text from available to sold, and hit enter.
And it updates.
The live website updates instantly. They are managing a complex, data-driven web application entirely from the canvas of an image editor.
It fundamentally blurs the line between design, content management, and production code. It's brilliant. And they aren't the only ones exploiting the API like this. The source gives a second, incredibly cool architectural example, Mixkit Art.
Mixkit Art is a platform that provides a massive library of free, high-quality illustrations and art assets.
So cool.
You can imagine the scale of their operation. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of complex vector files being created by multiple illustrators.
Managing the export, naming conventions, and web distribution of those assets manually would require a dedicated, full-time asset manager.
Easily.
So how did they automate it? The book references an article Mixkit published specifically about using Figma as a CMS.
They built an automated pipeline utilizing a Lambda script and an Amazon S3 bucket.
Okay, let's ELI 5 explain. I'm 5 those two terms for our junior designers. What is a Lambda script and what is an S3 bucket?
An S3 bucket is easy. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, provided by Amazon Web Service. Think of it as a giant, highly reliable digital hard drive in the cloud where websites store their images and files so users can download them.
Okay, so S3 is the warehouse. What is the Lambda script?
A Lambda script is what we call serverless computing.
Serverless.
Normally, a server is a computer that runs 24/7, waiting for a command. That is expensive.
Very.
A Lambda script is a tiny piece of code that lives in the cloud, completely dormant and asleep. It costs nothing while it sleeps.
Okay.
But when you send it a specific signal, a trigger, it wakes up instantly, executes its one specific job, and goes right back to sleep.
So how does Mixkit orchestrate this with Figma?
When an illustrator finishes a beautiful new artwork in Figma and decides it is ready to be published to the world, they do not go to File, then Export.
Okay.
They trigger the Lambda script. This can be done via a webhook or a custom internal plugin.
So they hit a button, and the Lambda script wakes up. What does it do?
The script uses the Figma API to target the specific ID of the frame containing the illustration. It sends a command to Figma's servers saying, hey, render this specific frame as a high-resolution PNG and an SVG in the background.
Wow.
Figma generates the files and hands them back to the script. The script takes those images, automatically names them correctly, and drops them into the Amazon S3 bucket warehouse.
And because the live Mixkit website is hooked up to that S3 bucket,
The assets are instantly, automatically pushed live to the internet for thousands of users to download.
it is an invisible, touchless pipeline.
Completely touchless.
The designer finishes drawing, hits one button, and the artwork magically appears on the live internet. No manual exporting, no uploading through a web portal, no developer intervention.
If we zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture, it reflects the author's profound final point in this chapter.
Which is?
Setting up these API connections, writing dormant Lambda scripts, configuring S3 buckets and webhooks. It takes serious engineering time and financial investment.
Sure does.
Not every project needs this level of automation. And certainly, no one expects a junior designer to build a custom CMS server on their first day.
But if they don't need to build it, why are we spending 20 minutes talking about it? How does just knowing that this is possible change their mindset?
It changes everything because it destroys the mental boundary of what a design file actually is.
Right.
It elevates you from a pixel pusher to a systems thinker. When you truly understand that the elements on your Figma canvas are not just colored pixels trapped on a screen, but rather highly structured, queryable data points that can be manipulated by external code, you start designing differently.
Your file hygiene improves.
Drastically. You
Right.
stop naming your layers rectangle 42 and text copy.
We've all done it.
We have. But you start naming them semantically because you realize a machine might need to read them.
Yeah.
You structure your auto layouts more logically. You begin to design for the holistic system, not just for the visual presentation of a single screen. As the author beautifully states at the end of the chapter, the option to build these incredible automated data solutions is always there, baked into the code of your files, patiently waiting.
Patiently waiting. I love that so much. All right, let's pull all of this immense information together. What an incredible journey we have been on today.
It's been a ride.
We started at the absolute basics, banishing the ghost of Lorem Ipsum by utilizing content reel.
Yeah.
We explored how injecting arrays of realistic text strings and avatars not only saves time, but physically stress tests the layout constraints of your components.
From there, we escalated to the realm of dynamic data.
Right.
We dissected how the Google Sheets Sync plugin allows you to decouple your content from your design, establishing a single source of truth that solves complex governance issues and empowers non-designers to update mockups without touching the canvas.
Then we conquered the nightmare of geometry, utilizing the chart plugin to instantly map CSV data into mathematically precise, complex graphs, ensuring ethical data visualization and saving hours of manual plotting.
We also tackled digital archaeology.
Oh, HTML to Figma.
Exactly. We discussed how HTML to Figma can salvage legacy projects by translating the browser's DOM back into a Figma scene graph, provided you understand the limitations of CSS translation and embrace the 80% rule of cleanup.
We then explored the frontier of custom tooling, looking at how corporate giants like Microsoft and GitHub leverage iframe architecture to build bespoke, internal plugins like token-based theme switchers, and API data pullers to instantly eradicate their own specific workflow bottlenecks.
And finally, we blew the roof off the design silo entirely.
You really did.
We examined the ultimate architectural hack, leveraging Figma's REST API, webhooks, and its native comment feature to transform the design application into a live, visual content management system, feeding real-time vector data and assets directly to live applications via Lambda scripts, all without developer intervention.
It is a massive, overwhelming amount of technical knowledge, but it is exactly the knowledge you need to transition from a beginner drawing pretty pictures to a true professional architecting robust systems.
Absolutely.
Now, we have only scratched the surface of the mechanics today. If you want to dive even deeper into these concepts, if you want to see the specific code snippets, the exact layer naming conventions, and the step-by-step UI flows we discussed today, you absolutely must check out the source material.
You really should.
I highly recommend picking up the book Designing in Figma, a masterclass in modern interface design. It is the definitive guide for everything we've covered today.
It's essential reading for anyone serious about this career path. And if you want to keep leveling up your technical skills, please explicitly follow us for more technical design breakdowns and career-building content.
Definitely hit that follow button.
We are dedicated to helping you navigate the increasingly complex intersection of design and engineering.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on.
Let's hear it.
We started this hour by talking about how beginners view interfaces like static, idealized paintings.
Right.
But we've just spent the last hour exploring how your design file is actually a living database, a JSON object, a repository of code just waiting to be queried by APIs and Lambda scripts.
It changes your whole perspective.
It does. As you go back to your canvas today, looking at your frames and your text nodes, I want you to ask yourself a very provocative question.
Okay.
As the tooling becomes more advanced and the lines between design software and functional production code continue to blur at this breakneck pace, in 5 years, will designers and developers even be two separate, distinct jobs?
That is the million-dollar question.
Or will we all just be product builders manipulating the exact same live system logic, just viewing it from slightly different vantage points?
Something to think about while you adjust your padding.
Exactly. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.